Now, for a long time, many security experts blamed the prolonged war against Boko Haram terrorists on presence of fifth columnist in the military. The recent suicide committed by Lance Corporal, an instructor with the Nigerian Army Special Forces in Gaidam, Yobe State, after being exposed as a Boko Haram agent and collaborator, confirms that assertion. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Rabo, has expressed outrage over activities of such fifth columnist and connivance of troops with terrorists and bandits in a letter to field and operational commanders titled, quote, "Need to educate personnel on the implications of collaborating with the enemy," end of quote. General Lucky Rabo urged them to take appropriate actions to forestall such incidents. BK, let me start with you because of this issue of insecurity. But recall that the CDS sometime in 2021 denied the allegations by Sheikh Gumi that soldiers are colluding with terrorists and that those harboring such thoughts were hallucinating and they need their heads to be checked. But then he has made a sharp U-turn.
Maybe at that time I didn't have enough evidence, but he was one in that memo. He was reeling out evidence, reeling out sufficient evidence. He talked about. He said he talked about an increase in cases of aiding and abetting by personnel. He talked about a soldier arrested for conniving with confirmed terrorist informant, Babagana Kura. He talked about another soldier who was arrested with 162 rounds of 7.62 mm special 60 rounds of NATO and IED materials, concealed in a traveling bag. According to the CDS, the arrests are indicative of insider action that has continued and has potential impact on operations. So these are his own words. These are his own words. He did not just send that memo to them. He detailed cases. So that those commanders and will know that, look, we have a big problem on our hands. There was also the case of 2 Nigerian soldiers attached to Operation Yaki in Kaduna, who were arrested in March for allegedly kidnapping some individuals. Another soldier attached to one div Kaduna, Private Danladi Hadao, was arrested along with 2 vigilantes for collaborating with bandits. Yeah, you have vigilantes collaborating with bandits. You have soldier collaborating with bandits. Sometime last year, a soldier and his wife was arrested. What were they arrested for in Zamfara? What were they arrested for? For supplying uniforms to bandits. They will supply army uniform to bandits. Now, when bandits wear army uniform, you will be confused. If they are manning the road, you will think, oh, these are Nigerian troops who have come to secure you. But they are bandits just wearing Nigerian army uniform. We've asked the question repeatedly, how do they get to access to these uniforms? But a soldier was arrested in Zamfara along with his wife for the crime of conniving or supplying bandits with uniform. You see, we will never win this war if we do not focus on how we can stop this nonsense going on. Because your colleagues can't be risking their lives, putting their lives on the line, working day and night, risking stepping on IEDs while you are sabotaging them from inside. You can imagine an instructor.
Weapon instructor.
With the special forces, being and working with Boko Haram elements who went to kill people in Gaidam. So this thing has always been there. One commander was telling me the other day, he said, see, Jide, these days, we don't announce ahead of time to our troops about a mission. We do it at the last minute so that they won't be able to
sabotage the process.
Sometimes they say, oh yeah, bring all your phones. So when the commander is addressing the troops, the phones are on the table. You have no way of quickly making a real-time call to the bandits. And I'm happy that even in this statement that the CDS mentioned, he talked about 60 rounds of 7.62 NATO weapon. There was a time that I mentioned on this program that some Boko Haram elements use NATO weapons. Of course, this NATO weapon, somebody went on social media writing rubbish that, what did they saying? They were talking about NATO weapons. Here is the CDS talking about recovery of NATO weapon from a Nigerian soldier collaborating with the terrorists. Now, these NATO weapons could be accessed in different ways. If Boko Haram attacks in a Cameroon army base, because they were active in northern Cameroon, Fotokol, all those areas. If they attack a Cameroon army base, or even a Chadian army base, we've seen them attack Chadian army bases. We've seen Boko Haram kill about 100 Chadian soldiers in one day. And when they attack a base to kill soldiers, their main intention is to steal weapons. Now, if they steal weapons, the Cameroonians and the Chadians have a lot of NATO-grade weapons because France, you know, some of the weapons from France, yes, they are NATO-grade weapons. They supply Cameroon, they supply Chad. Some of them also were weapons that they were using, that the NATO supplied rebels in Libya and ended up in the black market. So when I said that, I wasn't saying something that was not real. I'm happy that even the CDS said it, that they recovered NATO weapons. So these weapons, once you see this M16, the M16 rifle, the M16 is better and more efficient than even the AK-47. Though the AK-47 is durable, is strong, it can last in bad weather and all that. It doesn't jam anyhow. But what you can do with the M16, the American M16, which is a NATO-grade weapon, what you can do with it, but you can't do with most rifles. So if terrorists now grab it, it will now be shocking to you that they said that they have NATO weapons. But of course, some of these MNJ people, they have access to NATO weapons, NATO-grade weapons.
Right. Dari, that's why sometimes we ask a lot of questions. Why are these guys so emboldened enough to be able to face the Nigerian soldiers? But then, this seems to me like a question of patriotism. Why would a soldier who has sworn to protect the nation's sovereignty and integrity, colluding or conniving with his saboteurs?
Because that's where
with the criminals, rather.
That's where his patriotism is. He's loyal to whatever cause he thinks they are pursuing. Or it could be that he has been financially induced. Don't rule that out. I spoke with a major in the Nigerian army who is on the war front. And he said one major problem the fighters are facing now is the issue of trust. Now, you are going to battle with 16 people, for example, in a vehicle.
Yeah.
And you cannot as much as trust 4. Out of 16, you can't trust 4. You can only speak of maybe just one person that this man will watch my back. You are going to battle and you are afraid that these 12 people can turn their gun on me anytime.
Yeah.
Your own men. He said when you have a force that is fighting with such in such situation, you cannot expect the best out of such a force. And now the CDS is literally confirming this. We saw a Nigerian army officer committing suicide after being discovered in compromising situation, helping the enemies with information. Is an instructor, a weapon instructor. He probably is one of those who train these men on how to use weapons they steal from our own fighters.
Yeah.
So the agony with which our loyal officers Because we can only look at the army and say, well, maybe out of every 12 disciples, there will be one Judas. It is not enough to tar the entire army with a brush of disloyalty.
Yeah.
These are men fighting out there, risking their lives. We are praying day in, day out that may they not fall victims to the bullets of Boko Haram. Are we to now add to
bullets of their colleagues?
The bullets of their colleagues. You see the agony they go through? And day in, day out, we hear people saying, we should have won this war. We should have won this war. In this kind of situation, when our men have been infiltrated, when our men have been recruited as agents for Boko Haram, the question we should be asking ourselves is, why do we find situations like this? And I will answer you to say, it didn't start yesterday. Way back in 2014, we had the president who said, even his own council, his own administration, has been infiltrated by members.
Hold your thoughts. Hold your thoughts. You continue on that thought. We've got Victor from Enugu joining us on the show. Victor, the ball is in your court.
Yeah, good day, everybody there, Babajide and the code. Please, I have a question, a little bit related to this.
Victor, would you like to speak up so we can hear you? You're sounding far away.
Yes, can you hear me? So, I don't know if you can hear me. I have a question for Jide.
Yeah. Fantastic, go ahead.
The latest arms, this thing that America said they are going to supply. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So, do you have any information concerning the fighter, helicopter, and other stuff? That's what I want to ask. Please give us a little bit update on it. Thank you.
Well, I saw that story too, but I don't have anything fresh. Beyond what you have read, I don't have anything fresh on that. Maybe later on, when I've spoken to the Nigerian Army authorities, I can then brief you. But I'll be happy if America can supply us ground attack helicopters, because the ones we use are largely from the Russians, as the MIs, Mi-35P, Mi-35M, and the rest of them. They are Russian-made ground attack helicopters. They are the best for us in fighting this kind of insurgency. And they were very useful to the Colombians, you know, when they were fighting an insurgency. So I will be happy if the Americans can supply us those helicopters, because some of them are multi-role equipment. You can use some of them for troops insertion. You can use some of them as ambulances, air ambulances, and they can actually be fitted with a weapon system that enables us to take out the enemy with them. So I'm really excited to read about that. I hope that what we read is the complete truth.
All right, thank you very kindly, Victor, for calling in to the program. Derek, you were actually on your thoughts. I'd like you to round up.
My take is that the psychological effect of developments like this on the fighters is such that even if the army gets the best weapon, even if those fighting men are equipped with the best ammunitions to take on the enemies, if there is this fear that the man next to me could just be an agent, the morale is low. The fear of death from close quarters is worse than the fear of death on the battlefield. And then, since 2014, when we started hearing about infiltration in the government, infiltration in the army, infiltration among senior officers, junior fighters, we are still at that point now, to the extent that we have an instructor working for, neither you nor me will be able to fathom out how many years he spent colluding with this fighter, I mean, these rebels. Neither you nor me will be able to say, this is the number of ammunition he actually handed over to them. Nor the number of his colleagues he facilitated their death or killings.
Wow.
And you can imagine that it is men like this who, like BK was saying, the army will sit down, design a very good attack strategy. Then somebody will leak the secret.
No, a lot of ambushes.
And people, they are Nigerian are walking to ambushes.
A lot of ambushes are the result
and
of...
we keep losing men on a daily basis.
Sabotage.
Because saboteurs are in the force. It is something that will not help our fight.
How would you be giving information about the movement of the troops to the enemy? I mean, this is just unfair.
And then, BKO, I was going to ask, sorry, is it that in the process of recruiting new fighters, we are recruiting saboteurs? Do you think that's a possibility?
Not. It's possible, but there are also people who may have been in the armed forces for years who have sympathy for maybe Boko Haram, because the Boko Haram thing is an ideology. So there could be some people who have sympathy for them, and the army had arrested such people in the past. Even some people have been disengaged from the army. Some of them went to join Boko Haram, and the army was able to arrest such people. So, as we said, who are the people teaching them how to use? Because I saw a Boko Haram fighter in Goza driving one of our tanks, and I'm like, it's not everybody who can ride the tank.
Because we've got Peter from Bauchi joining us on the show. Peter, make your point. Peter, make your point. Can you hear me? Peter, are you there? I'm afraid we lost Peter. Well, BKO, it said that...
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Obasi.
Okay,
good afternoon,
go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, I listened to your from the beginning of this section, and I used to start with the corruption, and this is one of the things I was saying last time, that the multiplier effect of the corruption last time. Hello. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Peter, go ahead, we can hear you.
Okay, I said this is the multiplier effect of corruption I was talking about 3 days ago when I called to the studio. In the rest of the soldiers that collude with the terrorists, there are many of them in the system that I feel that they need to fish out. And the problem started from the recruitment process. How did they recruit these people? Yeah, you get a proper check on them before putting them into the system. And some people recruited them mainly for this purpose, so they can cause havoc in our system. And if you look at what is happening in the system, you see that most of these soldiers that collude with terrorists, they learn it from the boss. A soldier who went to Northeast, or an officer who spent less than 6 months and built mansions. Soldiers are seeing it, that they are using their money to do some kind of things instead of using them to train and to feed the soldiers. They use it for different things. And you see that so I now learn that the only way they can make the money is to collude these people, which is very wrong. Please check our recruitment process. Except these surrendering terrorists that are recruiting in the system need to be checked. Look at our training institution in Kaduna, that you will see a student village. When soldiers are doing exercise, they be going along with soldiers. How they don't consider how they do something.
Right, Peter, thank you very kindly. Thank you, your point is made. BK, I was going to ask you a question. There is this Yoruba saying that says, the weevil eating the vegetable lives within the vegetable. And he also said that, is it that when you're in the battlefront, you have to be now being conscious of the person you're fighting alongside with? How do they get into the army? You also said it's possible that they are sympathetic to them. But is it also, because what he probably might be thinking is a cop, a police officer who was arrested, recently arrested, and is being investigated for gyrating to an occultic song. So is it possible that these people were part of this people before they got into the Nigerian army?
Well, it's difficult for me to believe that. Some of them, just for the money, decided to become informants to terrorists, informants to bandits, just for the money. Then there are those who had sympathy for Boko Haram. There were those who had sympathy for Boko Haram at the beginning, because Boko Haram came like something founded on religion and all that. Yeah. Once you bring in religion, people's brains get twisted. They want to do what they believe that, okay.
They become fanatical
about certain issues once the religion is brought into it. So there were those of them who had sympathy for these guys. But it was much more rampant in around 2013, 2014, and early 2015. Yeah. I thought that the leadership of the army that came in, they were able to identify some of those guys, and so they were sent packing. But eternal vigilance is very, very necessary at this point. What happened in Gaydam should tell us that there are still a lot more of those people who will rather sell the lives of their colleagues because of money. And I've been told too that for some of these bandits, that the military knows some of their locations and choose not to go and take them on. What could be the reason for this? If we want to win this war, we must recognize that these guys are enemies and that we need to take them out. We cannot afford to be complacent. We have to take them out because they are a real threat to our nation.
Hopefully, now that they know that there are saboteurs within the system, they will also work around, ways to resolve this issue so as to, stop them in their tracks at the end of the day.